Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Tom King's Batman is a crime against comics. And the crime that Tom King has committed is not giving us a Batman who is a Dark Knight, a skilled martial artist, a skilled detective who is one of the world's greatest detectives, or giving us a hero who is dedicated to protecting Gotham City as the oath he took after the death of his parents. And when I take a critical examination of Tom King's run on Batman, he has changed the Dark Knight that we all knew from the 1940s when Bob Kane and Bill Finger established him, and Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams redefined him, and Paul Dini and Bruce Timm modernized. He has taken this character that generations have known, and he has turned him from a Dark Knight into a White Knight. And what I mean by a White Knight is that Batman is no longer a Batman. These days, he is a Batmangina, and these days, he's got a period red blood on the front of his trunks because your Tom King has gone out of his way to strip Batman of his masculinity, and he has turned the hard, masculine Dark Knight into this soft, emasculated White Knight who is nothing more than a completely emasculated beta male who spends more time submitting to Catwoman than dedicating himself to focusing on committing to the oath he swore as related to the death of his parents. And again, this oath is literally been tossed to the side, all because Tom King wants to project his ideas onto the Batman character and does not want to give us a story where we see his vision for the Dark Knight and how he will go out of his way to protect Gotham City. Because we haven't seen Bruce Wayne going out of his way to honor that oath he made to his parents ever since the 50th issue, where your Catwoman decided that she wasn't going to marry Batman. And after that, we saw Bruce Wayne practically go off the deep end and turn into a psycho simp in one issue, ripping out a urinal, and then literally going to the point where he practically abandoned Gotham City to all of the criminals, leading up to the storyline of City of Bane. And when I look at these stories that Tom King has established in his Batman run, they just don't fit consistently with the character that was established by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, your Alan Grant and Norm Bayfrogel, your Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Many creative teams have gone out of their way to write the Batman character, but none of them have done what your Tom King has done in his run of Batman. Because in Tom King's run of Batman, he has taken the Batman character and he has practically stripped him of his manhood and his masculinity, and he has made him so emasculated and so soft these days that he's nobody anybody would feel any sort of fear or intimidation, because one of the core elements of Batman that makes him an icon is that his image is supposed to strike fear and terror in people. But you wouldn't feel any fear and terror from a Tom King Batman because he's so soft and so beta that all he does is spend most of his time simping over Catwoman, and he will go out of his way to abandon Gotham City, and he's not even that effective of a crime fighter because you have people like Thomas Wayne who can literally dig up his parents' graves to go in the Lazarus pit, again, completely out of character, this alternate universe Thomas Wayne digging up Bruce Wayne's mother's grave. All of this stuff, it just is disturbing, and it's also dysfunctional, and it really does not give us a good picture of Batman, who cannot even act effectively as a hero because his masculinity has practically been stripped of him, and he doesn't even have the backbone or the stones to stand in the face of everything, because in every issue of Batman these days, he's practically been cucked at every moment and every turn, and he has literally been compromised to the point where he can't even fulfill the mission he established all those years ago, where he swore to protect Gotham City from all criminals. In fact, that's why we have the city of Bane and Thomas Wayne and Bane practically controlling the city, because Batman has been stripped of his Batmanhood, and the ultimate insult to injury is that your Tom King thinks that this is a perfectly fine rendition of Batman. And this is not what comic fans wanted from a run of Batman comics. They don't want to see Bruce Wayne acting emotional. They don't want to see Batman emasculated. They don't want to see Alfred murdered. And they don't want to see the entire Bat family getting the floor wiped with them by your alternate reality Thomas Wayne. And that was one of the most insulting things I ever saw, because I know these characters, and this just does not fit within everything. And the ultimate insult to injury is you got Thomas Wayne running around with a gun. And again, this betrays everything that Bruce was all about, because a gun killed his father and his mother. And to see Batman brought so low, this is just one of the saddest things to see, because this is one of DC Comics icons, one of comic books icons, and it's all being undone by a writer who clearly, as I see it, is unhinged. An editorial like Dan Dido is making no efforts to rein this writer in before he practically destroys DC Comics' golden property and further tarnishes it, because Batman sales have plummeted ever since that 50th issue, and these days a book that used to sell 100,000 copies is struggling to do 40 to 50,000 these days, thanks to Tom King's absolutely horrific run. And when I look at his run and compare it to other great writers' runs, like Denny O'Neil, like Bill Finger, like Paul Dini, like Alan Grant, it just pales in comparison, because those writers had a definitive idea for the stories they wanted to tell. But when I look at Tom King's run of stories, I don't see what story he's trying to tell as related to The Dark Knight. Instead, all I see is a writer who looks like he's trying to project his own personal issues onto the character, and those issues show me how this man clearly is not qualified to write the Batman comic. And when I look at your Tom King, I believe that it's his upbringing in a single mother household that really is the thing that really impedes his ability to write good Batman stories. He does not really have a good grasp on his manhood. He has no really good grasp of masculinity. He does not understand the role a father played in Batman's early life, because he didn't have a father in his life, and he didn't understand how that father laid the foundation for who Bruce Wayne became, because it was Thomas Wayne instilling those values in his son at an early age that led to him wanting to go out and serve people in the community. It was seeing his father, Dr. Thomas Wayne, serving the community and looking out for the community that led to him gaining the values that made him want to be a hero when he got older. And he wanted to honor the memory of his father by being a man just like his father, and he wanted to be the kind of man who would go out here and serve Gotham City the same way his father did. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to serve Gotham City by protecting it from all of these criminals who were allowed to run rampant in Tom King's run of Batman, a complete betrayal of everything that your Bill Finger established with Batman back in the 1940s. And when I look at what Tom King has done to this character, it is disgraceful. He has literally desecrated the legend of Batman with his absolutely horrific run of issues, and he has taken these characters who are icons completely out of character, and he's literally destroyed everything that was great about the Batman character in his run of comics. I mean, these are some of the worst Batman stories I have ever seen in my life, and it just pains me as a writer to see such a great character being done this way, because as a writer myself, I wouldn't want to see my characters like John Haynes or Isis or Easting done the way Tom King has done them. I would not want to see them acting completely out of character, nor would I want to see their mission completely compromised the way your Tom King has completely compromised the run of Batman. And when I look at his run of Batman, people ask what went wrong. Everything went wrong. And everything went wrong because Dan Dido refused to do what I would do as a publisher. And if I saw him talking about taking the character in this direction, I would pull his chain, and then I would say, look, this is not fitting the standard of the character and the mission of the character. And since you cannot write this character properly, I'm just going to have to cut you off this series, and we're just going to give you a kill fee and send you on your way, because this just does not fit what is the standard for the character. It does not fit the mission of the character. It does not fit within the parameters established by other writers, and what you're doing to the character is going to eventually damage the character and damage the eventual brand, and it's going to prevent us from being able to sell and merchandise this character. Because when I look at Tom King's Batman, it's one of those runs that has done incredible damage to the character, and it may possibly, if there is no other reboot, they may do serious damage to the Batman character, because this is not what people signed up for when they go out here to buy Batman comics. When people go to buy Batman comics, they want an escape, and they want an escape where they see a strong, masculine Dark Knight who is terrifying and intimidating, taking on his rogues gallery of characters like the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, Catwoman, Two-Face. That's what people want in a run of Batman comics. We don't want to see some soft, emasculated beta male getting all emotional over a villainess in his rogues gallery, and then when she chooses not to marry him, turning into a super simp and not acting like the superhero he actually is. Because to watch Bruce Wayne and Batman fall completely apart again over Catwoman like this is just, it just shows how editorial is not reining in its writers, because this is again completely out of character when you look at other runs of Batman and see how Bruce has practically learned how to navigate through his emotions, something Thomas Wayne taught Bruce how to do at an early age, but we don't see any of that characterization or care handled by your Tom King, because your Tom King does not care about these characters, and because he does not care about these characters, it's hard to care enough to go out here and pick up any issue of Batman these days, because it's hard to buy a comic and see a great character like this done so badly. Because as a guy who has bought Batman comics in the past, I just look at what he has done to this character, and it disgusts me. And what disgusts me even more is that your Dan Dido is perfectly fine with this and perfectly fine with the disgracing of one of comic books icons. And with this disgracing of one of comic book icons, he has no respect for the character, no regard for the character, and has literally shown comic fans how little value they have, or how little value stories mean to him. And that's the thing that really disgusts me about Tom King on Batman, is that he clearly does not care about the Batman character. He does not care about his run as related to other runs, and he doesn't care about keeping these characters' integrity solid so another writer can come in and work with them. Because when I look at his run, it is one of the worst things I have ever seen. And what's even sadder is nobody at DC Comics cares enough to say, look, this guy clearly isn't qualified to write comics, and they didn't pull his chain earlier so that they could mitigate the damage as related to his run. So I just look at Tom King's Batman, and again, it is a crime against comics, but the greater crime is DC editorial allowing this crime to continue going on and continuing to allow poor quality comics to go out with the DC label and featuring one of its top heroes, turning him from a superhero into a super wimp. If you'd like to pick up some action-packed stories featuring a strong masculine hero, you can pick up the John Haynes series books, John Haynes, The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, and Dark Succubus on Amazon.com in paperback or Kindle formats. And if you want to pick up other SJS Direct publications like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, or the Spinsterella trilogy, you can also find them on Amazon.com. And if you want to see me make more videos about comics, science fiction, or fantasy, you can donate to my Patreon, PayPal, or Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam, The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam, The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today.